in 4 of the children in this country are either overweight or obese. And this is a Growing Up in Ireland report, right? So this isn't data taken from other countries. This is about Irish children, okay? And last semester I was teaching in Mary I as well with a group of third years, and I asked them, I shared this information with them, and I asked them how this made them feel. How did they feel about Ireland being the most obese nation by 2030, and how 1 in 4 of our children are overweight or obese? And this was a group of 30 third year students in Mary I who were going to be full-time teachers in a year. Okay, and as they said, it was embarrassing, shocking, depressing. Okay, they were just some of the words that the students use, and it is. There is an inverse relationship between lack of fundamental movement skills and obesity. Okay, so these are the fundamental movement skills, and they're broken down into locomotor skills and balance and stability. So the locomotor skills that we need to be coaching and teaching the children in our training sessions, teaching the girls, the basic ones are running, walking, leaping, jumping, and hopping, and then your combinations, like galloping, sliding, and skipping, and all those things have relevance. The object control then and camogie is, all about object control, right? You have a stick and you have a ball, throwing, kicking, striking, bouncing, receiving the ball, catching or trapping, and then balance and stability, functional movement skills as opposed to fundamental movement skills, stretching and bending and twisting and balance, starting and stopping. Okay, all those have a huge part of the game of camogie. So these things. Okay, so this is a study that I was actually part of rolling out in DCU. A friend of mine, Stephen Behan from Dublin, he carried out the study. I'm sure Brian and Deanie are well aware of it. And these are the results. So if you look at the first one there, running, 75% of kids were able to run properly, right? Now, some people might think, that's not bad. Well, think of it another way. Quarter of Irish children can't run properly. Okay, and there's a shocking statistic in itself. And you look at the other skills, involved in camogie, catching, hopping and jumping for a ball, kicking or horizontal jump, balance, underhand roll, so, two-handed strike, one-handed strike, the object control. The results are awful, particularly the overhand throw. 16%, only 16% of Irish children can do an overhand throw. Think of a baseball pitch. That's the overhand throw. Look at the amount of children that can't do that. Okay, the underhand roll. Think of it going on for a pickup. Okay, and we all have a responsibility for these poor results. Coaches, parents, coach educators, teachers. Okay, screen time was found to be one of the main reasons why the results were so poor. The good news is that following the test, so when we tested the kids, these were the results, and following an 8-week intervention, the results improved dramatically. So it's not like our children can't do that. Okay, 11% of Irish adolescents could adequately perform the required movement patterns after 8 years of primary school. So 8 years in primary school, and 11% of Irish adolescents could adequately perform the required movement patterns. Okay, and I go back to we all have a responsibility to improve this. What can we as coaches do? Well, we can apply those functional and fundamental movement skills in all our camogie sessions. The gender divide. Okay, so there's gender divide very evident from early on. Think of it like we've team sport. Girls wear different uniforms to boys. Girls play with different toys. Okay, so there's There's boys' activities and girls' activities. Boys' activities, stereotypically, are probably team sports, and girls go towards gymnastics and dancing. Okay, not all, obviously. And the results of that study showed that girls outperform boys in locomotor skills. And of those, 4% of the boys took part in dance and 24% of the girls took part in it. Okay. The CSPPA report shows a decline in early moderate to vigorous physical activity in children. Okay, 19% down to 17%, 13% in boys and 23% in girls. Okay. So our job, I mean, the hard part isn't getting the girls to play camogie. For me, the hard part is keeping them there. All right. And how do we do that? Okay. We find out, why do children play sport? For fun and enjoyment, to be with their friends, be like mom and dad, to learn new skills, and to feel confident. Okay. When children get to a certain age, right, they develop perceptions about themselves. So I'm no good at this. I'm not going to play this anymore. I have enough. Think of a very small kid, maybe 1, 2, 3-year-old. If they fall down when they're learning to walk, do they go, this walking business isn't for me? They just get up and do it again. It's only when they get to maybe 7 or 8, they kind of go, oh, I'm not good at this. I'm not good at this camogie business. I have enough of it. I'm going to play something else. Or I'm not on sport. Okay, so it's up to us as coaches to recognize that. Why do kids drop out of sport? It's too serious. It's too adult-like. There's too much of an emphasis on winning. Internal competition, favorites, coaches' favorites, pushy coaches and parents, and like I said, the perception of themselves, low confidence, and competency issues. This is an excellent movement. I Coach Kids. You might have heard of it. Okay, and these are their 10 golden rules. Okay, for positive experiences: be child-centered, be holistic, be inclusive, make it fun and safe, prioritize the love of sport above learning sport, focus on foundational skills, engage parents positively, plan, use different methods. Okay, so you yourself as coaches have to be creative yourselves and use competition in a developmental way. So, on to why we're here: providing kids with a meaningful sporting experience. So the first thing I want to ask you, or you should ask yourselves, is what kind of coach are you? So these are 4 different types of coaches, and I got this from a guy called Keith Davids, and he's a world-renowned academic in the areas of ecological dynamics and constraints-led approaches and some games-based stuff. Okay, maybe the science behind games-based coaching. And he described 4 different coaches. So the first one, you can see safe certainty there, top left. Okay, this is where many of us are war. So autopilot, complacent, rehearsed. We're always within our comfort zone. We're afraid to challenge ourselves. I think that's where a lot of coaches are. Okay. Down here at the bottom left, unsafe certainty. The coach is controlling. The negative coach. The coach is always critical. The coach where the girls will just associate the coach's voice with always being negative. Don't do this, and why are we doing that? Those kind of things. And the limited participation, where if coach has long lines, not enough balls there, and the girls are waiting for the ball. Remember, the girls are coming down, right, not just to be with their friends. They're there to play ball. And if they have limited participation, why would they stay and play camogie? They'll go and play something else. Okay. The bottom right here, the unsafe, uncertainty coach. Right, these are the dangerous coach. The coaches that are unclear. The coach that's obsessed with winning. Right. Just the girls are anxious. They don't look forward to going down because eventually they just won't come down. All right. Our job as a coach is to make sure that the hour and a half they have with you during the week is the best part of their week. Okay. And you don't want them anxious and things like that. So that's the unsafe, uncertainty coach. That's if you're that coach, you need to, maybe coaching isn't for you. Okay. And then this is where we want to be. Safe uncertainty, right? The coach that explores, the coach that challenges themselves, the coach that adapts, the innovative coach. Okay, I would never, personally, I'd never claim to be a creative coach. That's for other people to judge. But what I do claim to be is a coach. I try to be all those things. You know, I always challenge myself. I explore, I look at different sports. I try and be innovative and I try and be creative. After all, what do we want? We would all love to be able to develop creativity in our players. And the way we do that is being creative yourself. Take a chance. Okay, especially coaches who are maybe starting out, you know, accept that you'll make mistakes. And if you can do that and challenge yourself, you'll love coaching. Okay, I was here for a long time, this safe certainty coach. You know, I was in my comfort zone, wasn't challenging myself. And then I just decided this is where I want to be. And this is where I try to be all the time. Many of us are here, we want to avoid being down here. Okay. So what do you view as a meaningful experience in sport? Okay. So meaningful experiences in PE and school sports. So I got this from Teacher Education. Okay, I'm a big believer in it. So the things we need to look out for are things we need to have in our sessions are social interaction, appropriate challenge, developing motor competence, fun, delight, and personally relevant learning. So any coaching course you might have done, you might have seen the role of the coach and, you know, like building rapport and those kind of things. For me, this is a different way of looking at it. Okay, and I like one. So the first one here is social interaction. Okay, so teamwork. That's what social interaction is, or teamwork is. It's social interaction, shared positive participation with others. Tag games, and I'll show you some tag games later on. Cooperative learning. Okay, the kids having a say in their learning. Okay, even at 7 and 8-year-olds. All right, the social interaction is huge, particularly tag games where kids are working together. The taggers are trying to catch people. The other kids are trying to stay away. What do the kids decide? Am I going to help my friend or am I going to save myself? All those little decisions to be made. Social interaction is huge. It is the essence of the GAA. All right, the social interaction. That is, for me, the most important part of playing sport is that social interaction. Education is not filling a bucket, but lighting a fire. So a good quote from W.B. Yeats. The question for us as coaches, how do we light that fire? Okay, providing appropriate challenge. Okay, the challenge has to be too easy or can't be too hard. Okay, a games-based approach is a great way for providing appropriate challenge. Kids love playing games, small-sided games, matches that I will talk to you about near the end. Okay, where's decisions? Where you, the coach, you're not making every decision for the child. Okay, you're not telling the child where to go, what to do, how to do it all the time. You know, there's a few decisions to be made. Like I started earlier on, you know, we want to develop creativity in players. Well, you have to be creative yourself as a coach. And providing those appropriate challenges is a massive part of it. So I read a good book. It was the first lockdown a year ago now, Jesus. And it was called Creating Innovators. And he said that creativity is a habit. The problem is that sometimes we treat it as a bad habit. Like any habit, creativity can either be encouraged or discouraged. We must encourage it. Motor competence. So I won't spend too long on this because we discussed it there at the beginning. You know, we learn and develop physical skills necessary to play. We talk about the perception of themselves. There's an inverse relationship between the fundamental movement skills or the lack of and weight status. If you look at the children that can be classed as overweight or obese, they tend to have very poor fundamental movement skills. As a result of having poor fundamental movement skills, they're probably not playing enough sport, or they have that perception of themselves where they lack the confidence to play sport. So it's very important at this age as well to develop those fundamental movement skills. And the good news is that developing those skills is great fun. And we can develop, we can develop those skills using things like tag games, giving them a ball each, different exercises, not just the, running through the ladders and jumping over the hurdles. Okay, moving in different directions all the time. Fun, obvious one, but it's there, it's obvious for a reason. All right, activities that hold immediate enjoyment. Our job, we can't force the girls to come down and play camogie, but what we can do is make them want to participate. All right, fun must be a vehicle for learning. It can't just be about the girls coming down and having a great laugh and heading off home again without learning anything. So we use fun as the vehicle for learning. Delight. Okay, probably one of the most difficult ones to define, right? It's kind of a deeper sense of achievement. The coach has a massive role to play here. So getting to know the girls, okay, recognizing achievement. So for one girl, it could be running, picking the ball up on the run, doing it the right way. Okay, and you get to know that, so, great job, great pickup, Grania. For someone else, it could be just holding the hurley the right way. To recognize that, and that's where the principles, the ideal principles, where you introduce, demonstrate, engage, and give the kids your attention. All right, giving your kids attention, recognizing when the kids do something right. And personally relevant learning, then why we do it, why, what, how, and reflecting on your practice. So why we're doing it, why are we playing these chasing games? Why are we doing a game that involves lunging and squatting? All right, explain. I was doing it today in school in Ardfinnan. We played a game called lunge tag, where the kids had to do a lunge, freeze in that position, and the only way they could be freed was if somebody else copied them and give them a high five. What's that got to do with camogie? Well, everything. Okay, think of the action where you lunge forward and pick it up. All right, combining stuff, functional and fundamental movement skills into your games, making it personally relevant like that. Let them play. Just let the kids play. All right, so I'm going to play a video here. I hope it works. If it doesn't, I'll explain what it is. If you don't hear any sound, that doesn't matter. So. This is my 3-year-old boy just playing. Okay, so I hope that video played. Let the kids play. So I had the video there. The starter was I said my young fella just playing in the kitchen. Now the safe, certain coach in me, the one that maybe wasn't operating out of his comfort zone, would have said to my young fella there, now, okay, hold the ball this way. Now put your foot beside the ball, or holding the hurry the right way. All those things and stopping them. Whereas I just left them off and explore, let them off and play. Okay, and we do too much talking as coaches, too much, interventions. Sometimes you just got to let the kids off and play the game. All right. Silent sidelines are great. There was one time, I remember, as a development officer in Dublin, and I learned the lesson harshly, where we were having this blitz for under sevens or eights, I think it was, whatever it was. And I was putting the kids into positions, putting 7-year-olds into positions. Like when I think about it now, and the young lad was called Michael, and I said, Michael, you go there. And he just looked at me and went, Barry, just leave me alone. Just let me play. And I've never put any child into a position again. I just let them off and play the game. Let them play and let them explore. Okay. So we're talking about maybe some activities we can do. So tag games. Okay, I'm a big believer in these, especially for 4 to 8-year-old and 8-year-old girls. Why? Social interaction. Tag games are all about occupying space, decision making, the sensation of being chased, defending. As they get older, when you're trying to teach the girls how to tackle, how to defend, you defend with your feet, or you react with your feet. The evasion, the occupying space, positioning, all those things you need to play when they get older to play camogie. And tag games teach you, and they're great fun as well. Children love them. So I'm going to play a video here of tag games, okay? And I'll explain it as we go along. So the first game here you're going to see is a game, high five or lunge tag. I was trying to explain it earlier on. And what happens is, when you're caught, you have to lunge forward like we're doing here. That's me and a coach down in Waterford. And you free someone by giving them a high five like that. And look, you see the movement. Imagine 20 girls chasing games like this. Look at the movement, running around, all doing something. Nobody standing behind a cone, nobody waiting to do anything. Everybody has a role to play. The yellow cones. So this game involves a squat. So working on the functional movement. Similar game. You get into a squat position when you're caught, and the way you free someone is you have to squat in front of them and give them a high five. And the last game we're going to see, this is a game called mirror tag. So what you get the girls to, when they're caught, you have to make a statue like Brian does here, any way you like. You encourage the girls to be creative. And the way you help someone is you have to copy them. And great fun ensues. Okay. So going back to those functional movements, the squatting and the things like jumping and landing and lunging, right? Why do we work on those with the girls when they're young by playing games? Girls have higher injury rates than boys. Okay. Why? Physical makeup. There's an ACL epidemic going on at the moment among girls. I was on an LGFA course last week, and there was a girl on it. She's a student in Mary I, so she's probably no more than 22, and she's had 3 cruciate injuries in her career. 22. No, she could be 21, but she was no more than 22. 3 cruciate injuries. Before I left Dublin, I was the coach of the DCU Camogie team, the Ashbourne Cup team, And, you know, every year I had, we were down 2 players because of cruciate injuries. Okay, so it's important that we work on not just the fundamental movement skills like agility, coordination, and stuff like that, but the functional stuff like squatting, jumping, and landing and stuff like that. Okay, I'm going to move on then to what I think is probably the most important, one of the most important things we can teach the girls when they come into the club, right? Is hurley size, hurley grip. Okay, so you know why? So this is a good one. I think that's from Claire. Be smart and bright. Choose short and light. I believe that a hurley too small is a lot better than a hurley too big. But why? Why is it so important? Okay, think of it this way. Um, when the girls come down first, down to your club, you know, you want them to make them comfortable. They're going to be uncomfortable anyway. It could be their first time. They're going to have a helmet on, a cage around their head. Why would we make them even more uncomfortable with a hurley that's way too big for them? So a nice small hurley and make the girls feel comfortable. Because like I said, we want to keep the girls there. Getting them there isn't the hard part. It's keeping the girls there. So make the kids comfortable. Make the girls comfortable with a nice small hurley. Keep the kids on task. All right, a ball each if you can, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a lovely first touch or smart touch or Neil Slitter. Okay, a tennis ball will do. All right, a ball is a ball. You want the kids on task. So this is an exercise I would set up with especially with 4 to 8-year-olds. Right, so this is a square. So the orange cones. The black circles are tires, as in car tires. And I'd get the girls running around, hitting the tires, teach them the right grip, showing them how to strike, and let them off, running in different directions, hitting the tires. Okay, rather than having them all lined up behind the orange cone, having 5 or 6, run out to the tire, give it a slap, and run back to the end of the line. All right, I want to avoid lines as much as possible. That's my view anyway. Get the girls on task. Then what I do is I put some beanbags into the tires. So I might call out a color. I might go, right, blue and yellow. And they can only go to blue and yellow. So it just makes them looking up and running to see where they're going and hitting the tires. Simple as. Then I get them a ball each, and you have to dribble the ball up to the tire and hit the ball off the tire. Okay? And that's keeping the girls on task. You're working on the technical, but you're also keeping the girls occupied. There's no one waiting around for a task. Everybody's doing something. Moving and using the ball. Right, this is a hurling wall drill I would use with all teams, adults right down to children. As you can see here, you've got gates. So there's blue, yellow, and red. And what I get the kids to do to start off is just running through as many gates as they can. So they're all changing direction. Then I give them a sequence. So I go, right girls, blue, yellow, red. And they have to run in that order. So they're yellow or red. And you're making the girls change direction, making them run left, making them run right. Then I give them a ball. So they must dribble through blue, red, and yellow. Okay. And then as they get older, you're blue, red, yellow, strike it off the wall. Things like that. Okay. And I got this from an athletics coach. He's a sprint coach above in Queen's University. And he came down and did a kind of an athletic development workshop when I was working in Dublin. And immediately I just went, geez, this is great for getting them moving in different directions. Because if you say to the girls, right, you have to go through 3 different gates, they probably run to their strongest side all the time. Whereas if you say yellow, red, blue, it means they have to change direction all the time. Okay. Can we play a match? Isn't that what all the girls want? Okay. Small-sided games. You can't get enough of them. Here we've set up, right, with loads of 2v2 matches. You don't need proper goals. All you need here is cones or poles. Set up 2 versus 2. Okay, this comes from this is a big thing in the Belgian FA, right, where they're probably leading the way in kids and youth football. Okay, small-sided games set up like this: 2v2, 3v3, and you don't need a lot of equipment. Cones, players, and some balls, and let them up their small-sided match. All right, almost there. As a coach, we should always be reflecting on our practice. So if you ever look up reflective practice, you're going to come across this cycle, Gibbs' cycle. And basically what it is reflection in action and on action. So reflection in action is you, the coach, at training, maybe things aren't going well. I have to change this up. Okay, go get out your plan and maybe change things up. Maybe go back to the challenge in the meaningful, providing meaningful experiences. Is it an appropriate challenge? Maybe it's too easy and the girls are getting bored. Maybe it's too hard and the girls are just not motivated because it's too hard. So you'll have to make that decision. Reflection on action then is you with your coaching group or you yourself reflecting on how the session went. Okay. When we hear of reflection and critical reflection, we think bad automatically. Oh no, I didn't do this well. That wasn't good enough. Okay. It's very important that as a coach, you reflect on what went well too. Right. When you're coaching the girls, there's loads you are doing well. I guarantee it. And it's important that you reflect on that as well for your own sake. And you could be doing something really well and the girls might love it. So it's important to note that down. Okay, I'll do that again, or I'll try and make that one maybe even more challenging. Okay, get someone to look at your session. Not necessarily, I'm a big believer in videoing a session and see how you're doing. Now, look, when you're videoing 4 to 8-year-olds, there's so much ethical stuff there. But get someone to come down or get one of their assistant coaches. Look, what did you think of this session? Self-reflection is important, but the accuracy mightn't always be the best. You might be too hard on yourself, or you might not reflect accurately. Okay, but reflective practice is essential for providing a meaningful experience for the kids. Do you reflect on your teaching and coaching? Ask yourself the question. Sometimes, always do it, or do you not reflect? And I asked the group of coaches or the group of teachers I was teaching last semester in Mary I, and a lot of them were coaching in their club, and most of them, all of them, taught PE when they were on their TP on their teaching practice. Okay, and half of them didn't reflect at all, and then the other 50% were made up of always or sometimes. Okay, always reflect on your practice. What went well? What do I need to improve on? Just before I finish, what is success? Right, winning results or silverware. It's keeping the girls coming back week after week, season after season. That is success. If the girls are leaving with a smile on their face and they come back the next week, you're doing a good job. So just to conclude, a few things to take away. Create excitement and challenge. Coach for enjoyment. So plan your session. If you don't plan your session, you'll be going down and you'll fear coaching. You'll be going, oh, what am I going to do? And you're trying to wing it. You'll hate coaching eventually and you'll step away. Okay? If you plan your session and challenge yourself, excuse me, and try and be creative, you'll enjoy it a lot more. Cultivate basic skill development in your players. Fundamental movement skills are fun. Okay? Character and confidence in those you coach, and let the kids play. This is from the UN, right? Children have rights and they have a charter. And I've just picked out a few maybe that will apply to sport. So all different, all equal. A name by their first name. Tell them what they're doing well by their name. Well, great job, Brian. Okay, good job, Grania. Education. Children have the rights to an education, and when they come down to your club, they have the right to be taught the right things. To be safe, to play and rest. They have the right to develop their talents and abilities. They have the right to have a say and be listened to. As a coach, it's important that you listen to understand, not to listen just to have your say, but listen to understand. They have the right to express themselves. Okay. These are some good resources I recommend that you follow or look up. So Coaching the Game, that column down in Cork, Colin Nally, he's come up with a few great coaching books. The I Coach Kids World, they have a fantastic website with loads of courses which are free. The GA Learning Portal, Daily Sports Science, who I do a bit of work for, the Tip Games Development Twitter page is really good, and the Coaching Bubble is a great podcast that I recommend for everybody. I'd also recommend you follow Brian on Twitter. He puts up some excellent stuff, and I'll let Brian tell you about that. And some books that I've enjoyed: Coaching Better Every Season from Wade Gilbert. The Score Take Care of Itself is a great one. The Barcelona Way is about culture, and then maybe some not sporty ones, but like you apply to sport, like Black Box Thinking and Creating Innovators is a great book as well. So that's it from me. I hope you learned something. I hope you take away something from it. And I'd be delighted, myself and the lads would answer any questions. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Barry. That was fantastic. Dinny, Brian, how are we going on questions?
Excellent stuff, Barry. Yeah, just from what I'm gathering there, I've only got one question come through so far in the questions and answers section. So I'll just go straight in with that one, and it's just when under 6 and under 8 girls are doing their warm-ups, tag games, etc., should they wear their helmets and carry their hurleys to get used to them or not?
Geez, that's a great point. I would have them with their hurleys, yeah. So probably as a result, they probably have to wear their helmets, yeah. I mean, it's not like for me, yeah, definitely have the hurleys in the hands all the time. But that's my opinion. Other coaches will tell you, and they're not wrong either, that just they're there to play tag games and get the hurleys after that. But I always play tag games, certainly with that age, try and get them playing with their hurleys. So give you an example. So I might play during the tag game video where there was high fives. I might get them, they have to squat down in ready position and they have to touch hurleys rather than give a high five. Stuff like that.
The next question there, it's just wondering if the presentation will be available to get references, and this presentation is being recorded and it will be made available at a later date. Grania, have you an idea when it will be made available?
Yeah. As you know, we're doing 2 more, so they'll all be available together on our new YouTube channel. So people will be able to subscribe to that and get them on the YouTube channel when the 3rd one is over, which is the 30th of this month, and they'll all be uploaded then together.
Super. The next question that's after coming in there, how important do you think a different voice is for kids, like different coaches, maybe every 2 years?
I mean, it sounds great in theory, but I mean, who are the coaches at that age? They're going to be the parents. That's the reality of it. So, yeah, different voice is always good. But if you have a coaching group, let's say you've got 25 girls and you've got 5 parents helping you, 5 coaches. I mean, you know, that's a different voice, different coaches every night. As regards every 2 years, I don't know, is that possible? If it's possible in your club, great. It's a great idea, but I don't think that it's realistic, because it's the parents they're your volunteers, and they're going to be you know, wanting to be with their unless Brian or anyone else has any other opinions on it.
No, I'd be backing up what you're saying there. Like, look, you're going to have maybe at different stages, you'll probably maybe bring in somebody to bring in a new voice or a new opinion and maybe working on a specific thing at different stages. But I'd be fully in agreement on that there, yeah.
Yeah, I think Dinny certainly at this age, like 48, you know, it's not realistic. But when the girls get to, you know, maybe 12 to, especially when they can't play with the boys anymore, 14, 16, yeah, probably a new coach every couple of years would be a good idea, yeah. But I think at this age, it's not realistic.
Yeah. There's a question there. What length should a training session be for 4 to 8 year olds, and how often would you train them? Maybe, I suppose, in a week. How often would you train them?
An hour is loads of time, and I think once or twice a week. Yeah. I think as they get older, maybe once a week, because are the girls? You have to factor in. Are the girls playing football as well? Are they playing other sports? Do they have other activities? We want camogie to be part of the girls' lives, but I don't want to consume their life either. The girls might have after school club, might be playing soccer, or they might have gymnastics or something like that. So we have to be conscious of that as well. Camogie isn't their whole life, but we want to be a part of it. I think an hour a week max 2.
Yeah. Distraction. So young girls are easily distracted. How do you get the right balance between coaching the core camogie skills like holding the hurley and striking versus playing tag games for enjoyment?
That's up to you as a coach. I mean, what's the reality of the situation? You can combine them. Okay, you can like, if you take most of the girls will be right-handed. So you can get them playing tag games where they can only tag someone with their left hand, and you have the hurley held in the right hand. If you think about it, like, the right hand is for right-handed girls. The right hand will be on the hurley all the time, and it's the left hand that can only leave the hurley, like, when you're catching a pickup or catching a ball or hand passing. So you can work on it that way. I know I do with something with 4 or 5-year-olds is where I play with a cone, a small cone, and a ball, a tennis ball. They're holding the cone in the hurling hand, and they're doing different tricks. I just get them holding an object in the hurling hand, and they're getting used to using the beanbag or the ball with the catching hand. So I think you can combine them all and reinforce it. You must reinforce it all the time. That's the reality of the situation for me, anyways. Check for understanding all the time. Stop it every 5 minutes, right, girls? So hurling hand out, grab the black tape with the other hand, and ready position, and off we go again. I hope that answers the question. Unless you've got something to add, Philly or Dinny or Brian. I think it's an important question.
Yeah, no, I do. I think, like, the tag games for enjoyment is definitely excellent, because you're working, as we talked about there, on the fundamentals, and you're talking about the movement, the evasion, the defending steps. So all of that is key, and that is without actually having without striking a ball. You're working on an area that is going to develop your game going forward as well. But it's also a fun enjoyment for the kids. Like, one of the games that I started playing as part of a warm-up was actually it's a tag game with 2 people tagging, maybe 6 people moving, and you have 2 balls involved. So it's a hand passing game as well as a tagging game. All right. If you have the ball, you can't be tagged. If you don't have the ball, you can be tagged. All right. And it's up to the players in possession of the ball to try and maybe find somebody and get somebody into possession of a ball that might be close to getting tagged, or you're trying to evade the taggers. So you're getting your heads up and you're looking through it, but that's probably stepping on towards the next maybe age group as well. But you could use, as you were talking about there, the beanbags, just moving the beanbags to each other. I think it's a good idea. But in terms of getting the right balance, like, is it fair to say that over half of your session should be focusing around letting them play, getting them out and letting them play and letting them just get on?
I think they need getting the girls on the ball as much as possible as well. If you get a ball each, you're covering yourself there as well. You've got your tag games, right? But if you can get the girls on the ball as much as possible, whether it's dribbling around or it's baiting the ball off a wall, or it's picking the ball up on the run, dropping it, picking up another ball, dropping it. Get them on the ball as much as possible. I think if you can think about girls having fun, but they're learning, so fun, a vehicle for learning, and get them on the ball as much as possible, I think you're doing your job as a coach.
Brian, did you want to come in there?
Yeah, totally. Can you hear me, Grania?
Yes, we can hear you, Brian. Thanks.
Yeah. Totally agree with Barry there as regards getting as many balls. You don't want them arriving into a training session. Somebody mentioned there about concentration. No quicker way of girls at 4 to 8 losing their concentration than if you have them standing in straight lines for too long. So definitely a ball in each hand. But another way, like maybe I use a kind of a tag game as soon as they come in. Don't have your session ready to go. So if you're training at 6 o'clock, that you're standing literally waiting for them to come into the astro or the ball wall or the pitch, you're ready to go, and you have an instant activity ready for them. And it might be just run around and play a freeze frame game, or play stuck in the mud, or play some of those games that they're familiar with. Minimal amount of explanation, bring them back in. They've ran off all that kind of exuberance and energy, and they're kind of ready then and receptive to what you want to achieve in the rest of your session. But I think having them in and waiting around while you're setting up, and then you put them in lines and you're 10 minutes into the session and the child has touched the ball 3 times, that's where the concentration starts to dip.
Yeah.
Hello, Grania.
Yes, Billy.
Yeah, just to say that I'd agree with Dinny and Barry there about at least a third, maybe a half of the session should be mini games or games with the ball, because the more advanced players will get bored. And I know for myself, when I was back training 8-year-olds a good few years ago, that if I had planned the session poorly, and next thing you're doing too many drills, next thing the next age group arrive on and they haven't had chance to be creative and get the delight that Barry's talking about, the players will get frustrated and say they never got a chance to go out and play and show off or whatever. So I would agree that there is a time you must plan a time for them to have mini games or games with the ball or matches or whatever. So definitely at least a third, I'd say.
Thanks, Billy. Is there any other questions, Billy?
Yeah, there's one question left here. Do you think your best coaches should be at under 6s, under 8s, under 10s, etc.?
Yes. Yeah. Well, again, it's never the reality. It's a great idea, but again, it's going to be the parents are going to be coaching the girls. That's just the reality of it. It's a great idea if you had your best coaches down with the nursery, but that doesn't always happen.
That's all the questions that have come through as of now, anyway.
Okay, is there any other comments from anyone else on any of the panels? Jenny, Brian, Barry, Billy, any other comments?
I suppose just as a parent there, you do need to keep in mind all the hobbies that 4 to 6-year-olds have. They could have Irish dance and modern dance, gymnastics, all the ones Barry and Dinny were talking about there. So there's no point in adding on too many extra camogie sessions and falling out with parents or getting the children burnt out from camogie. So I'd say just if you're keeping close contact with the parents in your club and see what's suitable, whether it's once a week or more.
Okay, thanks, Billy. Any final comments from you, Barry or Brian?
No,
no,
not from me. Thanks for having me on. We enjoyed that.
Okay, you're more than welcome. So if there's no more questions,
sorry, Grania, there's just one question after coming in there. It's just the last one, I'd say. So, at what age should the roll lift be introduced? I think it's relevant to, I suppose, age-appropriate skills for the players.
I'm going to be a little controversial here, right? So on 2 fronts, right? There's early, why not? It's an important skill. The girls are going to looking at the girls are eventually going to be looking at their hurling and mugheads playing. They want to copy them. So let's just teach them the right way. And 2, I wouldn't be teaching them roll lift at all. That's just my view. Okay, I think jab lift all the way. Roll lift slows down the game. As someone who's coached camogie a good bit now, I think there's the amount of girls that run, stop, roll lift, and go again is just ridiculous. And early on it drove me mad as a coach. So I'd be teaching jab lift all the way. Yeah, I don't like the roll lift. Free takers, or maybe if you're in a ruck, but like roll lifting the ball in a ruck is something that kids will explore anyway, and they'll figure it out themselves. teach the girls the right things, and I think teach the girls how to jab lift, and but that's my opinion. Some people agree with me, other people think I'm mental, but I play sessions where row lift is banned and you have to do the row lift or you have to do the jab lift, and it makes them do it on the run, and you'll be amazed at the pace of the session will pick up when they can't stop and do a row lift. So jab lift all the way for me anyway. Unless anyone disagrees.
I'm glad you said that, Barry. I'm a big believer behind that as well. It definitely, it's just the more and more I've seen it there over the past couple of years, like it completely slows down everything. It breaks the momentum of your play. It's about picking up the speed of it there. So, and like even looking at the younger kids, like they all start with the row lift, but like when it comes to it, they way prefer the jab lift and they become easier at it, but they become better at it. Yeah. And they get the ball up quicker, they move quicker, but still the row lift is coached more and more. And I think it's the other way it needs to be. So I would say, yes, jab lifts all the way to back that up too.
Yeah.
Total agreement there as well.
Yeah. Hurley flash, scoop it up and catch it. 3 simple points. That's all. And you demonstrate it. Show the girls how to do it.
Excellent. Okay, is that all the questions, Denny?
Do you think the large slitter is necessary for this group? Kids use small ball at home, fine.
There's no harm in it. Like what you can do even starting off, girls learning for the first time. If you go back to the slide, I with the tires, hitting the tires and stuff like that. Give them first touch. The footballs the kids would use, the girls would use. Have a big football, let them, bait away at them. But that's just my opinion. But if you want to use a small sitter, yeah, I don't think there's any. As long as you're teaching the girls the right way to do things, I think it doesn't matter really what kind of ball you have, to be honest.
Fair enough. That was the last question, Denny, was it?
That was it. That's everything, yeah.
And right on time. It's just 9 o'clock. So I just want to say thanks a million to Barry for his presentation tonight, and to Denny and Brian as our panelists. And we'll be back, and Philly, we'll be back next week, and Brian will be our speaker for next week. So I do hope you can all join us again next week. And thanks a million to everybody for joining.
Thanks, Grania. Good job. Thanks, lads.
Well done, Barry.
Thanks, Barry. Thanks, Grania. Well done.
And Denny.
Well done, Grania.